Forget everything you think you know about Medusa and her sisters. Was Medusa truly the most formidable, or did her siblings possess a raw, untamed power that made even her tremble? This video unearths the hidden strengths and complex relationships within the Gorgon trio, revealing the true power dynamic that history often overlooks. Hello mythology lovers, and welcome back to the Nightforge. Today we're journeying back to ancient Greece to unravel the story of three of its most feared and misunderstood figures, the Gorgon sisters. While one name, Medusa, echoes through history, her sisters, Steno and Euryale, often remain shrouded in mystery. Who were they? And was Medusa's tragedy the only story worth telling? Stick around as we explore the complete, gripping saga of the Gorgon trio. Before the horror, there was beauty. Medusa, unlike her sisters, was born immortal. She served as a priestess in the temple of Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war. By all accounts, Medusa was breathtakingly beautiful, her most stunning feature being her magnificent hair. Devout and pure, she dedicated her life to the goddess, taking a vow of celibacy. But this devotion would not save her. In fact, it set the stage for one of Greek mythology's greatest tragedies. Her mortal life was a stark contrast to the immortal existence of her elder sisters, a detail that becomes crucial as her story unfolds. This wasn't just a tale of a monster, it was the story of a woman whose life was stolen from her. The sacred halls of Athena's temple became a scene of violation. Poseidon, the mighty god of the sea, was captivated by Medusa's beauty. In an act of profound disrespect to both Medusa and his rival, Athena, Poseidon assaulted the young priestess right on the temple floor. When Athena discovered what had happened, her rage was immense, but her fury wasn't directed at Poseidon. Instead, she punished the victim. Athena cursed Medusa, transforming her beautiful hair into a writhing mass of venomous snakes. Her very gaze became a weapon, turning any living creature that met her eyes to stone. This curse not only stripped Medusa of her beauty and humanity, but also twisted her into a figure of terror, a monster to be feared and hunted. It was a cruel and unjust fate, transforming a devout priestess into a symbol of dread. Now, let's turn our attention to the other two-thirds of this formidable trio, Steno and Euryale. Unlike their younger sister, they were born as Gorgons, daughters of the primordial sea deities Phorcys and Ceter. They were immortal, powerful beings from the very beginning. The name Steno translates to forceful or strength, and she was known for her incredible physical power. Myths describe her as the most ferocious of the three, responsible for the deaths of more men than both her sisters combined. She was relentless, a true powerhouse of monstrous might. Then there's Euryale, whose name means far-roaming or wide-leaping, while also a fierce killer. Her defining trait was her terrifying bellowing cry, a sound so dreadful it could paralyze her enemies with fear long before they ever saw her. These two weren't just sidekicks, they were primordial forces of nature, immortal and deadly in their own right. So, how did the three sisters relate to one another after Medusa's transformation? Cast out and reviled, Medusa found refuge with her immortal siblings on a remote island at the edge of the world. Steno and Euryale, far from shunning their newly monstrous sister, became her fierce protectors. Imagine the dynamic, the once mortal Medusa, grappling with a horrifying curse, now guarded by her eternally powerful and monstrous sisters. They were a family unit, bound by their shared nature. They didn't see Medusa as a cursed priestess, they saw her as their sister. This protective bond adds a layer of sorrow to their story. They were a family of outcasts, defending each other against a world that saw them only as monsters to be slain. Their island wasn't just a lair, it was a sanctuary, the only place Medusa could exist without being hunted. This brings us to the inevitable showdown. The fame of the Gorgons, particularly the mortal Medusa, spread far and wide. The hero Perseus was sent on an impossible quest by King Polydex to bring back Medusa's head. Guided by the gods, armed with a mirrored shield from Athena, a sickle from Hermes, and a cap of invisibility from Hades, Perseus was a divinely backed assassin. He found the Gorgon sleeping. Using the reflection in his shield to avoid her petrifying gaze, he crept towards the only mortal one among them. In one swift motion, he decapitated Medusa. The tragedy here is twofold. First, Medusa, the victim of the gods' cruelty, is slain. Second, her protective sisters were unable to stop it. The myth says they were asleep, and by the time they awoke, Perseus was gone, vanishing with the cap of invisibility. The story doesn't end with Medusa's death. The aftermath reveals the true depth of her sister's feelings. Upon discovering Medusa's headless body, Steno and Euryale were consumed by grief and rage. Euryale let out her famous soul-shattering cry of sorrow, a wail of despair that echoed across the sea. They pursued Perseus with relentless fury, but he escaped, protected by his divine gifts. This moment is so important because it humanizes them. They weren't just mindless monsters. They were sisters mourning a profound loss. Their rage was born from love and grief, a desperate, futile attempt to avenge their slain sibling. Their story becomes a tragic testament to sisterly devotion in a world that refused them any form of compassion. So, let's compare their power. Was Medusa really the strongest? Her petrifying gaze was undeniably a unique and terrifying weapon. It was an absolute power. One look and the fight was over. This made her the primary target, the ultimate prize for any hero seeking glory. However, Steno and Euryale possessed a different kind of strength. They were immortal. They couldn't be killed by a hero's blade. Steno had raw, overwhelming physical force, while Euryale had a psychological weapon in her terrifying scream. Medusa's power was a curse, a passive defense that also made her a prisoner. Her sister's powers were inherent, tools of aggression they could wield at will. You could argue that while Medusa was the most dangerous to approach, her sisters were the more formidable warriors overall due to their immortality and active combat abilities. The real power of the Gorgons wasn't just one sister's gaze, it was their combined existence as a unit. Ultimately, the tale of the Gorgon sisters is a story of tragedy, injustice, and fierce loyalty. Medusa's story is a powerful narrative about victim blaming and the cruelty of the gods. She was transformed from a beautiful woman into a monster, not for a crime she committed, but for one she endured. Her sisters, Steno and Euryale, often overlooked, provide the emotional core of the myth. They represent a fierce, protective sisterhood, standing by Medusa when the whole world, including the gods, turned against her. Their immortality meant they had to live on with the grief of her death forever. This myth isn't just about a monster with snakes for hair. It's about beauty turned to horror, devotion turned to despair, and a family of outcasts who had only each other. What do you think? Who was truly the most powerful Gorgon? Was it Medusa with her deadly gaze, Steno with her brute force, or Euryale with her terrifying scream? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. It's a fascinating debate. Thanks for journeying into the world of myth with us today. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more stories from the ancient world. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Until next time, stay curious.